with the Shema Israel, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad, Havata, Eth Yahweh Eleheka, Edivekol Vavika, Uvakol Nafeshka, Uvakol Meodika, Havaka Loreaka Komoka, Burukata Yahweh Eloheinu Melech Halam, Asher Natan Lanuet, the Yom HaShabbat. Meaning, thank you, Yahweh. Shema Yisrael, Yahweh is our Elohim. Yahweh is one. Um, we are to love Yahweh with all of our hearts and with all of our minds and all of our souls and all of our resources. We are to love one another with the same thing. And also too, we want to thank him for giving us this day, this Yom Shabbat. Before reading anything about the Torah, as I recently discussed in one of my classes, is that we like to bless the Torah. You know, there's a blessing for the Torah because the Torah is a blessing. And for the one who gives it to us is the one who's worthy of all of our praise and all of our adoration and all of our life and our commitment to. So I say Baruch Beraku et Yahweh the Ham Vorak and the Baruch Yahweh Ham Vorak the La Alam Wayed Baruch Atah Yahweh Eloheinu Melech Haolam and Asher Edebekara de Banu Edemikola de Hamayim Edewenathan de Lanu de Et Torato Baruch Atah Yahweh the Nothan the HaTorah Baruch Atah Yahweh the Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Natan Lanu the Torah the Emet the Wakaye Olam and the Natan the Bathokenu the Baruch Atah Yahweh Nothan the HaTorah. So you say, well, what does that say? It says, blessed are you, Yahweh. You're the blessed one. Blessed are you, Yahweh, the blessed one for all eternity. Blessed are you, Yahweh, our King of the universe, who selected us from all the peoples, and you gave us his Torah. Blessed are you, Yahweh, the giver of the Torah. Blessed are you, Yahweh, our Elohim, the King of the universe. And you have given us the Torah of truth and implanted us with eternal life, and you have blessed us because you are the giver of the Torah. The Torah is definitely the blessing that Yah has given unto man. It's his words to teach us how to live our lives and how to go through this journey, which we call life. And so, you know, it's something that, you know, sometimes we just kind of like glaze over. We don't take the time to really, you know, be appreciative of what Yah has done. It's huge what Yah has done for us. It is huge. It is completely huge. It's so huge that sometimes we have a difficulty understanding how valuable the Torah is to our life in different aspects. I want to share a screen with you right quick, and I want to talk to you just briefly because I think it's going to be good to know. Um, Here's a chart that I have that I got, and it talks about. Can you guys see my chart? Do you see my chart, you guys?
Yes.
All right. So in this little chart that we have here, of course, you know that you have so many things going on with you. This is you. Okay. This is you. And there's all these different areas of your life that you're being spread out to. Okay. Um, you have work. Jeannie talked about that, her business. Okay. Work could be a business or it could be working just any type of work. You know, you have family. You know, you have family that you're focused on. Your children, you know, other family members, a parent who a parent who's ill that you have to take care of. You know, you're dealing with that. If you know, you're dealing with your intimate relationships. You know, uh, people who are really close to you. You know, a spouse. Um, we're dealing with your spread into uh, community. You know, what's going on around you in your neighborhood. Um, you know, how's that affecting you? All these things are they have an effect on you. Okay. Your health. What about your health? You got to focus, right? Social, personal development. You know, they have a little box over here for spirituality. And they segment it and they compartmentalize it to just being one aspect of your life. But I'm here to tell you that in the Hebrew culture, okay, the Torah fills every last one of these areas. It's pervasive. It has to be included. The Torah addresses all these areas. In the Western mind, they believe that spirituality is just one aspect of your life, and then all the others, you could divide your time among all these other areas. Okay. In the Torah, every part of your life is dealing with how do you do that which is right in your family, in your relationships, in your community, in your health. Somebody tell me, how does the Torah address your health?
Dietary.
Dietary. Okay. That's Davarim, right? Davarim chapter number 14. Okay. Leviticus chapter number 11. Okay. It tells us how to eat properly. Social, which goes into what we're talking about in our Torah portion. You guys know what our Torah portion is, right? It deals with what?
Zazarat.
Deals with Zazarat, which is a plague. Okay. And that's what right now we're dealing with, a plague right now, which they call what? COVID. Okay. So we got some social distancing going on. Okay. The Torah deals with your personal development, how you are as a person. How do you conduct business? What did Jeannie say? She said that she has to make sure that she pays people that she owes and treat people, so that comes from within. You can't be a great person or a righteous person without doing righteous acts to do it yourself, right? Spirituality. We don't look at it as just spirituality. We look at wholeness. Because we don't just take, this has been the problem, I think, for the Western culture. The Western culture makes a division between the body and the spirit. Spirituality. You hear a lot of people say I'm in the spirit of this, the spirit of that, the spirit. That's all New Testament. That's New Testament philosophy. They don't have any regard for the body. They don't care about the land. They don't care about the diet. They don't care about the body. They don't care at all. Give me some examples, somebody.
They eat pork.
Yes.
Yeah, it clearly says that it's an unclean animal. He doesn't even want us to touch the carcass. And they put it in pretty much everything, and we have to be very careful.
Yeah. So in Hebrew, we don't make any distinctions between this. If you notice, it never said, and it may say that Yah had let his spirit come upon someone, like, a king or whatnot. But in terms of who we are as individuals, as being part of a community, we're not trying to set ourselves apart like we're any type of, like how the Christians do. They say if you're spiritual, then you're above everyone else. The Torah for us applies to every aspect of our life, and the same Torah that we have is the same Torah that the king is supposed to read. Okay. So we don't look at that. Okay. We don't look at that.
It's the Torah that makes us, it's the Torah that makes us holy. It's the Torah, because we keep the Torah. That's what makes us set apart. And that's what the definition of Kadosh is being set apart. So it's the fact that we set this day apart that makes us holy. It's not a spiritual thing.
Thank you, Rivka. It has, but the spiritual aspect of it is being played out in the body. You can't have the body without the soul. Okay. They all work together. Okay. And I want to put a little pin in that. I want you to remember that I said that you can't have the body without the soul. They have to work together. Okay. If you don't know the Torah, okay, you're going to fail in every one of these areas, even in your leisure time, because you're going to be spending your time on something that's not bringing anything to you to help you learn. You're doing that which is unclean. This Torah portion this week was talking about that which is clean and unclean, which in Hebrew, for purity is called tahor. If you have some writing materials, write it down. THATAHOR, tahor. Okay. And to be unclean is called tameh. Tameh. Okay. This up here is purity. And that's how they define it in English, pure. Okay. So if that's pure, then tameh must be filthy. Okay. There is a stark contrast between purity and filth. Okay. This word tahor, they said the only way that they could define it in English is just calling it pure, but they really don't know how pure it is. They don't know whether it's pure through the washing of water or the purity of that which is in fire. They said it's they can't define it. That's how pure, that's how powerful this word is, because it just doesn't have to do with outside washings. It has to do with that which affects a person's soul. So they can't define it. When Yah talks about these things are an abomination to me and they're filthy, he's talking about it doesn't only affect your body, it affects your soul. When you're sick, how does your soul feel? When you're sick, how does your soul feel? Are you happy? Are you sad?
Sad, weak.
You're sad and you're weak, but does your spirits lifted up and they're super excited and you're jumping all around and you feel the joy and all this kind of stuff? No, it's not happening. If when my mom passed away, I wasn't happy. My body was affected. I was sad. I was crying. I got depressed. You know, right now with my health, it's the same thing. Hey, Rivka, can you come and turn this fan on for me? So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to tell you that both the body and the soul work together. Even through Yah is having us understand the Torah, because we can understand that whatever affects our body will affect your soul. A lot of people don't think eating pork is going to affect their soul, but Yah says if a person's eating pork, I'm gonna end their lives because it's filthy. It's filthy. It's a filthy animal. And it's not just about believing that, it's actually doing that, as we've been learning. Okay. So you're spread out all over the place. If you don't have the Torah, you're going to fail. You're going to fail. You may ask, well, why is the Torah so important right now if I can't perform it? I'm not in the land. So how can I, you know, how can I benefit from it? How is it beneficial to me? You know, well, how it's going to be beneficial is you're going to be able to pick up different aspects of what he's talking about. Let me see here. Any questions so far?
Yes, you can obey the Torah and follow the Torah and reap the benefits from it for just following it.
Thank you. Because here it is, like, for example, when you look at this this word that I said I wanted to go back and show you on my screen, do you see it says stomach and life? You see that?
Yes.
All right, so here's what it's saying. The Hebrew word for life is called kai. Okay, it's called kai. And I think often you might see and it's represented. Rivka usually has a little symbol on her necklace. It's made out of a ket. It's a ket. It's a gold ket. Okay, the letter ket. Okay, which you have right here. Okay, kai. Let's everybody say life is kai.
Life is kai.
Kai, yes. Like my son is called Malachi. Okay, so kai. So that means life. But what is life? You know, well, the action of this word in a concrete definition means to live. Okay, that's what life is. Life is meant, the action of it is to live. Seems very basic, right? But it's concrete. The concrete of it, okay, the concrete definition is the stomach. When my mother got sick and she was, prior to her passing away, she didn't have an appetite. She didn't eat for 12 days, right? Because her stomach, she didn't have a desire to eat. And when someone doesn't have, and like an animal, when they don't have a desire to eat, that means they're ready, they don't want to live anymore. They're not going to live. Okay. Abstractly, life is an abstract thought. The word life is an abstract term because you can't define it by itself. But in the Hebrew language, it's attached to the stomach. When the stomach is empty, one is famished and weak. Okay. And when it is filled, one is revived. Okay. So this organ, right, is seen as the life, as an empty stomach is seen like death, but is revived. The revived stomach is life when you put something in it. Okay. Do you guys understand that concept? Does that make sense?
What about when you fast?
You're afflicting your soul, right? You're afflicting it. You're causing, well, that's the reason why I think I had this conversation with Ted the other day that, you know, fasting is good because fasting is saying, guess what? I'm going to afflict my soul, right? My life, who I am, what I am. I'm going to cause myself not to be refreshed, because your soul is called to be refreshed, right? That's what a nefesh is. It means to refresh. And your stomach has to deal with that. If your stomach is empty and it's nothing in there, you're saying, let me bring affliction to my soul. You're afflicting your soul when you mess around with your stomach. That's why Yah tells us on the Day of Atonement, don't eat anything. You know, cause some type of not refreshment. Don't revive yourself. Don't bring yourself refreshing. Bring yourself low. Bring yourself low. So Yah, he respects this. This is the method. So the stomach organ literally holds food, as we know, and it's figurative of life. Okay.
So someone said that the Torah makes us kadosh, and I thought Yah deemed this for made us kadosh. The Torah doesn't. It was Yah that did it, whether you read the Torah or not. Is that correct or no?
No, because we need to understand that the Torah, and this is, oh, I'm so glad you just said what you said. The Torah is Yah's voice. The Torah is Yah's voice. Is Yah speaking to the children of Israel. The Torah is Yah's voice. That's why he's always saying, when I speak, you guys don't be listening.
But wasn't Abraham kadosh, and he didn't even have the Torah?
No, you and I can't say that he didn't have the Torah. He didn't have the Torah written down, but
Right.
he did what he heard Yah's voice.
Mm-hmm.
He did what Yah said to do.
I see.
And because he did that, Yah says, since you've decided to do that, I'm going to consider you righteous.
Sure.
Okay. So it's the hearing of the Torah, right? And the doing of the Torah that makes us righteous. Okay. So I want to take you to answer that question a little bit better, or to show you what Yah says. Because if we know what he says, then we can depend on it and we can trust it, and we can know it, right? So let's go there real quick.
I don't mean to disrupt the class. I
No,
apologize.
you're not disrupting the class. It's something that needs to be said. You're not disrupting the class at all.
Okay.
You're not disrupting the class. We're here to learn. We are Yah's children, okay? And he is going to speak to his children and tell his children what he wants them to know, okay? Let me see right here. You're not disrupting at all. The reason why you're asking this is because Yah has put it on your heart. You want to know. So one of the things that I get into with a lot, I have to catch myself on Facebook. I'm always trying to, ask somebody some questions just to see where they're at, and they won't answer my questions. They tell me I have the wrong spirit because I want to know. All right. So let's get some context here. Okay. So as we see here, we'll start in 16. Okay. Well, let's do 15. Let's start 14. Let's start 13. Okay, let's just say 13 because I can keep going. He says, you are to fear Yahweh, your Elohim, and serve him and swear by his name. Everybody here knows this. You are not to follow other gods. All of us know this. Chosen from the gods of the peoples around you, United States of America. All of us know this. Because Yahweh, your Elohim, is here with you. He's a jealous Elohim, okay? If you do what? If you choose these other gods around you, the anger of Yahweh will flare up against you, and he will destroy you from the face of the earth. Do not put Yahweh, your Elohim, to the test as you tested him at Massah. Observe, that means do diligently the commandments of Yahweh, your Elohim, and his instructions and laws, which he has given you. You are to do what is right and good in the sight of Yahweh. Speaking to what Jeannie had said, she says, isn't it right for us to pay people we owe? Yes. So the things that may go well with you, okay? And you will enter and possess the good land which Yahweh swore to your ancestors. So he expels all your enemies ahead of you, as Yahweh said. Then he says, someday your child will ask you, what is all the meaning of these instructions? What instructions? The instructions that you received from Moshe, okay, of the laws, the rulings, the judgments, okay, which Yahweh Elohim has laid down for you. What does all this mean? Then you would tell your child, we were slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt. Yahweh brought us out of Egypt with a strong hand. And he worked great and terrible signs and wonders against Egypt, Pharaoh and all his household before our very eyes. He brought us out from there in order to bring us into a land he swore to our ancestors that he may give us. Yahweh has ordered us to observe all these laws. Okay, do them, not look at them with your eyeballs, but do all these laws to fear Yahweh, our Elohim, always for our own good, so that it might go, keep us alive, so that we might keep us alive as we are today. So if you don't keep them, you don't do them, then you may not be alive. It will be righteousness. It will be righteousness for us if we are careful to obey, listen and obey and do all these commandments. That's your righteousness. Your righteousness is an obedience to all the commands that Yahweh has given us. Okay, before Yahweh Elohim, just as he ordered us, commanded us to do. That's your righteousness. The Torah is your righteousness. The Torah is the voice of Yahweh. That's why I always ask, and Rivka always asks, are you doing your Torah portion? Are you listening? Are you listening to what Yah is saying? Are you doing it? Are you reading it? Or are you making excuses? Because of the chart that we had. Remember the chart that I had up?
Yes.
Where all the different bubbles?
Yes.
And then we say, well, I got this going. I can't do it right now. Do you see how Western culture is? They tell you, oh, if you have one aspect for church or spirituality, that's one of your bubbles. You know, then you got parent, you got family, you got this, you got this, you got. So you get all this stuff and you're confused. You know, like, where do I turn? How do I manage my life? Right? So what we've done is we've taken Western culture and we applied that to the Torah. And Yah's telling us that you can't live that way. You can't live that way. You can't. Okay. The Hebrew people are instructed. Okay. They're regarded on how they're supposed to live. Okay. Just briefly, I'm going to just put this up here, but I'm going to just flash through it because we have other stuff we got to do today. Okay. The Torah portion this week was dealing primarily with laws of purity. It was talking about Zazarat. It was talking about a woman's menstrual cycle. It was talking about after a woman has childbirth, whether it's male or female. But the main focus that it was talking about is they said, well, it's about Zazarat, right? Which is a plague. Okay. Zazarat is a plague. Okay. I need you to understand it. It's a plague. And in the book of Numbers, let's go there right quick. It's a plague. Chapter number 12, I believe. Can you guys still see my screen? Yes?
Yes.
Miriam and Aharon began criticizing Moshe. Criticizing. They began to speak against him. They got a nice little word right there. Criticize. Okay. Slander. Yah's telling us, you better be careful about what you say about people. Okay. They slandered him. Okay. Do you think that they're the only two that was beginning to slander Moshe? Or do you think, no, they weren't. They weren't the only ones talking about Moshe, but these were the leaders. Okay. And they were on him because he married an Ethiopian woman. For indeed, he married an Ethiopian woman. That's not his wife that he had over in the other place in the Medes. He married another woman because his other woman was already what? He sent her back. Okay. So they were mad. Okay. And they said, is it true that Yahweh has spoken only with Moshe? Hasn't he spoken with us too? Remember, they're mad. They're speaking. They said, Yah spoke with us too. And Yahweh heard them. So let's be clear. Yah hears everything and everything that we say and everything that you don't say. Deuteronomy 29 tells us that Yah says, a man has said in his heart, out not publicly, but I have heard what he has said, and I will not forgive him if he says I'm going to continue to do what I do anyway. Now, this man, Moshe, was very humble, so more than anyone on the earth. More than anyone on the earth. Suddenly, that's why Yah chose him. To use him to write the Torah, to write Yah's words for us. Suddenly, Yahweh told Moshe, Aharon, and Miriam, come out, you three, to the tent of meeting. The three of them went out. They came down. Yahweh came down in the column of cloud and stood at the entrance of the tent. He summoned Aharon and Miriam, and they both went forward. So they're going forward, and Moshe's what? He asked them, you guys step forward. You two, you step forward. So they went forward and he said, look, listen to what I say. When there is a prophet, could you imagine Yah asking you to stand forward, to come forward? He calls three of you, but then two of you are told to come forward. He says, when there is a prophet among you, okay? When there's a prophet among you, I, Yahweh, make myself known to him in a vision. So this could verify and be validated when you think about all the times that Yah spoke to Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel. He spoke to them in visions, and he spoke to them in dreams, like, you know, how he talked. So could Joseph be considered a prophet? Yes. Yah spoke to him in a dream. Daniel, Yah spoke to him in a vision and a dream. Okay. But Yah didn't speak to Moshe in dreams and visions. Okay. But it isn't that way with my servant Moshe. It's not that way. He's the only one. Okay. So listen to this very carefully. He is the only one who is faithful in my entire household. Whose household?
Yes.
So Yah has a household.
Mhm.
He has a family, doesn't he?
Mhm.
How is that family governed? Somebody tell me.
Well, you have the head, the father, and then he works with his wife, and then she, teaches their children,
Mhm,
and then we have to obey their house rules.
mhm.
Hopefully your mother and father have wisdom, and they're sincerity and honest and loving.
Mhm.
But if you disobey, there is consequences.
Yes, there you go. There you go, Samia. Okay. So Yah has a household, and Moshe is a servant in Yah's house. Yahweh is, Moshe is not a friend. Not that Yah's not friendly towards him. He is a servant. Okay. So if he's a servant and he's in Yah's household, he's serving Yah.
Mhm.
Okay. In Yah's household, his entire household. This is the one that Yah chose to serve him and to hear his words and to convey them to us. He said he's the only one. Now, at this time, where's Yeshua? That's what I want to know. Where is he? And he's in Yah's household. Don't they say that he's been with him from the beginning? And he's this and he's this and he's that? He is the only one who is faithful in my entire household. Faithful to what? Speaking exactly what Yah told him to say. Yah says, I speak with him. He says, with him, I speak face to face. Well, I thought you said that Yah says no man can see him face to face and live. See? So this is where you have an English translation and we don't understand the culture. Okay? We don't understand the culture. Culture face to face in Hebrew doesn't mean literally face to face. It means to be in the presence of one another. Okay? And it's clearly not in riddles. He said, I talk to him clearly. I don't talk to him in riddles. He sees the image, the glory of Yahweh. That's what he saw. But he didn't see Yah. He saw the image of Yah. Okay? So why weren't you afraid to criticize? This is Zazarat. This is what causes Zazarat. This is what causes the plague, is slander. The anger of Yahweh flared up against them, both of them, and he left. But when the cloud was removed from above the tent, Miriam had Zazarat. Miriam had Zazarat, not Aharon. But he was mad at both of them. Tell me why he didn't do anything to Aharon.
Because he obeyed.
No, he didn't do anything to Aharon because Aharon was
I see. I'm sorry. Moses, you're right.
yeah. Aharon, he didn't do anything to him because he was anointed. He chose him. Y'all didn't put the Zazarat on Aharon because the priesthood are the ones who're supposed to go and examine the Zazarat. You see? So Zazarat causes one to become white as snow. Their skin color changes. So if these people that they call Israel today are white in their skin tone, then how could they become white as snow? They get an extra white covering? You got to be another color in order to turn another color. Okay? So that is the plague. And so Aharon looked at Miriam. She was white as snow. Aharon said to Moshe, "Oh, my master, please don't punish us for this sin we committed so foolishly. Please don't let her be like the stillborn baby with its body half eaten away when it comes out of its mother's womb." Moshe cried to Yahweh, "Oh Elohim, I beg you, please heal her." Right? So he's making a request to Yahweh. Look at what Yahweh says to Moshe, his servant. Yahweh answered Moshe, "If her father had merely spit in her face, wouldn't she hide herself in shame for 7 days? So let her be shut out of the camp for 7 days, and after that, she could be brought back in." Miriam was shut out of the camp 7 days, and the people did not travel until she was brought back in. When Yah says, if a father has spit in his daughter's face, so what did Yah just do? What did he do? You guys don't want to say it, do you?
Spit in her face.
Yes, he spit in her face.
That's really interesting because she was talking about Moses's wife. It's part of the family. And my mom, when we were growing up, she didn't spank us, but she always talked to us in parables or like wisdom like this. She said, whenever I said something negative about my sister, she would say, "Please lie down." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Please lie down and spit." And she said, "Where would it go?" I said, "Of course it will come back to my face." She said, "That's right. Don't talk about your family." So when this verse 14, that reminds me why my mom said that. And then another thing she said is, so women talks a lot, right? More so than men. And she says, whenever all those sisters would talk, she said, "You know why women don't have beer on their face?" I said, "Why?" "Because they talk too much." So then we all be quiet.
Wow.
So it's kind of interesting that my mom was.
And you know what's
Yeah.
interesting about this is that, does anyone know what a person's supposed to do when they were considered unclean with Zazarat? What are they supposed to do with their mouth? What are they supposed to do? You guys remember? Well, if you don't know, when they had Zazarat and they were declared to be unclean, which is Tameh, they were ordered to they have to cover their mouth and go around and say, "Unclean, unclean," anytime they got near anyone, just like COVID right now with these masks, right? They're afraid of this transmission from those molecules, the vapor that comes, the droplets that come from our mouths. The person with Zazarat will have to cover their mouth and have to, when they see someone coming, they have to say, "Unclean, unclean." Yah publicly humiliated them. Everyone who has Zazarat had to know that it was a plague. Okay. And Rivka, what's the name for plague?
Nigar.
Nega. Nega. Okay. Sounds very familiar, doesn't it? Isn't this what they call these people in the United States of America? Or what even with their own black people call each other? Nigga, 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 or nigger. You get it? Plague. 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 Sore. Uncleanness. Yah says you're going to be known by a byword. They're going to call you bywords. They're going to call you out of your name. Plague. See? These are Yahweh's people. You see? So it's interesting how Yah says you got to cover your mouth and declare that you're unclean. He's literally using what they did to punish them. You've been around slandering people. Now Yah says, I'm going to put a putrefied sores on you, leaking pus that's going to be in your clothing, and you have to be put outside the camp until you are made clean. Because you ran your mouth, so now I'm going to make you run your mouth. Now you go tell everybody how unclean you are. Do you see the beauty in the Torah? Because a person who lives in Yah's community cannot live this way. We can't speak evil of one another. We shouldn't have slander in our mouth. We shouldn't be so quick to criticize one another. That's why I'm taking another stance on even people that don't even follow the Torah that are Yahweh's people. I still won't, I'm not talking about them no more. They're not my children. Yah spit in her face and put her outside the camp for 7 days. The camp is the community. What did Yah do to Israel? He set Israel outside the camp. We've been put out of Yah's presence because of our uncleanness. It's not just them killing their kids and offering them as sacrifices or shedding innocent blood or eating that which is unclean and worshiping idols. These are the things that Yah is telling you and I today, that it's because of these things that make you impure. When I was doing the Torah portion this week, I thought to myself, I said, I read this before, but I'm seeing something different. I was sharing it with Forrest and I shared it with Rivka. Do you see that Yah has used the Kohanim, the priests, the ones who are close to Yah, to be the examiners of those who may come across and have this problem? Yah has sent them in to be physicians, to be people who help treat this condition, to counsel the people and say, listen, this is what you have to do in order to be made clean. I'm going to come back, I'm going to examine you. So the Kohanim were just not a whole bunch of religious people. They were actual physicians. They would go in and examine people, examine their bodies, examine their scalps, examine their beards, examine their clothes, examine their houses. They were the ones who determined whether or not the house was pure, clean or unclean. That's what we're supposed to do. Yah says in the final days when we become his Kohanim, you and I are going to be the ones who are going to go out and do this very same thing. The Torah is saying that it's not only for us, but it's for the people that we're going to talk to and the people that we're going to help shape their lives and shape their community and teach them how not to slander one another. Teach them the difference between clean and unclean. Teach them how to eat. Teach them how to plant. Teach them how to live. Teach them how to love and to have compassion on one another. Teach them how to look to the poor, the widow, and the fatherless. We cannot go home until we decide that we ourselves want to turn from this type of behavior. These are not things we're just talking about to say, oh, well, it's only good for today because it's the Shabbat, so it's something nice to talk about. Yah's telling us today, all of you need to understand that if you're going to be my people, you got to watch what you say. Because I don't have a problem spitting in your face either, because I'm not a respecter of persons. And I have spat in the face of Israel. I put them out of the camp. If you think about it, it says the woman who just had a menstrual cycle, she was set aside. She was set aside for 7 days. The woman who had a baby was set aside for a moment of purification. Is this the focus on the woman? The focus is on purification. That's a natural thing to happen for a woman. Does it make her filthy? No, she's just in a place of impurity. That's what Yah made her. That's how he made her. He made a man who could become unclean through a seminal emission. So we can't say, well, the women are filthy and the men are clean. No, we all have our aspects of our humanity that makes us unclean. And Yah, again, is defining to let us know that it's not only the uncleanness in your body that needs to be dealt with, it's the uncleanness that's in your soul, because what's in your soul comes out of your mouth. It's what you speak that can make you unclean. You understand? And this type of talk can be spread out through the community. So Yah has to put an end to it by dealing with the individuals who are doing this and making a public example of them. Now, the children of Israel had to wait 7 days for her to come back in. Do you know they could not move until she came back in? But the only way she came, and do you know how shameful that was for her? That she had to sit out there for 7 days and not be around the community? She didn't have no one to talk to. She had no one to converse with. She had no one to sing with. She had no one. That was a time for her to get her act together and decide which direction she was going to go with Yah. If you and I want to walk with Yah, we got to make up our minds and say, this is the time right now, like Miriam set out for 7 days outside the camp. We're outside the land of Israel right now. We need to be thinking about, what have we done? And ask Yah to cleanse us and bring us back into the fold.
And she was in there. She was like in the royal court, because Moses and Aaron were people. And,
they were top dog.
Yeah, they were top dog. Yeah.
They were top. They were the leaders. He said that she was a prophet. She's not lying when she said that Yah spoke to them too. Yah was speaking to her in dreams and visions. Oh, you better hear me. He was talking. She's not lying. He didn't rebuke them and say, well, no, you lying. I didn't speak to you. He did speak to them. He did. I think last week we talked about, is Yah dwelling with us? And I said, no, he's not. Well, why isn't he, David? Because we're unclean. We got to stop trying to make Yah fit our parameters. You and I need to be a servant to Yah. The servants don't, look, we have to stop asking him to do things for us. Like, Yah, could you do this for me? Could you do this? Could you do this? Could you do this? I need your help. Can you do this? Who's the master and who's the servant? You and I need to be at his beck and call. He's not at our beck and call. We're not shot callers. We don't tell him what it's going to be. He tells us what it's going to be. The people we've been living around has made us so comfortable that you and I feel like we can go talk to Yah anytime we want to talk to him. We have lost our respect for him. We act like some of us are running around like we are Moshe. Going around and making people actually literally think that you are Moshe. And everyone else in the congregation is the children of Israel. Woo! We lost our minds. We lost our minds. Yah tells us to be careful. He says, I need you to be careful.
How arrogant are we?
Come on, Rivka.
I mean, really think about it. How foolish. I mean, we're playing around with the one who created everything, and people around here calling themselves Moshe and
right,
Kohanim and all kinds of stuff. I mean, really think about it.
Come on. That's how comfortable we got, right? This religious system, the Catholicism got a priesthood. So now, oh yeah, we can all be priests. You out of your mind? Do you know who you're dealing with? Once you read this for me, Forrest, read it for me. And I'll tell you when to stop. Go ahead.
Okay. Watch your step when you go to the house. Let me do this. Okay. Let me see. Okay. Hold on one sec. Okay. Watch your step when you go to the house of the Elohim. Offering to listen is better than fools offering sacrifices. because they don't discern whether or not they are doing evil.
Stop. We better watch our step. Okay, he says we're going to the house of Elohim. If you are going to pray before Yah, I would advise you, because Yah is in the heavens, right? You're still going before him. Okay, it doesn't matter where the location is at this point because we're in exile. You and I need to watch our step, and offering to listen is better than a fool offering sacrifices. It is to our advantage for us to be more of a listener. We need to listen more and stop talking so much. Fools are known by the multitude of words that they speak. We talk too much. We're rambling on and on and on, as if Yah doesn't know what's going on in our lives. He said, because they don't discern whether or not they're doing evil. When you're talking so much, you can't even dice it up and slice it up and say, this is evil. Maybe what I'm saying is not good. We haven't even, God gave in that thought. Maybe what I'm speaking before this creator is not good enough to be talking. Maybe I should keep this little area of insignificance out of my mouth before the one who created the heavens and the earth. Maybe I should take the time to think about it. Continue.
Don't speak impulsively. Don't be in a hurry to give voice to your words before the Elohim. For the
Stop.
Elohim.
Do not be so quick to open your mouth and speak before him to give your voice. Right? To words. You guys got to understand something. We have to understand that Yah is not a human being. He's not going to, if you say something to him, he's going to hold you responsible. That's why he says, be careful, come out your mouth. We're so quick to give a vow and make a promise to Yah, and we don't have the means. Listen, you know what? I'm going to repent right now. I'm going to repent right now before everybody. I'm going to repent publicly. I'm going to tell you right now. If you don't have the means to, when you make a vow to Yah, this is how evil we are. And I'm going to just tell it to you. We'll make a vow before Yah. And I'll just tell me, forget it. I won't include you. I'll say me. You have to say it for yourself. I'm so evil. Listen to me. Well, why are we listening to you? You're teaching us. I'm telling you. I'm so evil because I did what was evil. I'm asking Yah, if you would do this for me, then I'll do this. I made a vow to Yah that I don't have the means to keep. I said that I'll do this for you if you would do this. Who am I? Listen, we cannot make vows that we don't have the means to keep. If you don't have the means, don't open your mouth to say something that you don't even have. Why would you make a promise to something that you don't have the resources to fulfill before Yah? Why would you say that? We don't have means. And if you don't have the means, you can't make a vow. Think about what it says in the Torah about a vow. It says if you're going to go before Yah, if you vow something to him, you better not fail to pay it. You can't vow something that's not in your capacity to have. The people of Israel, when they made a vow, they were able to give what they said they were going to give. You made a vow to Yah, you had the capacity. You had ability, you had availability to make sure that you would be able to do what you said you were going to do. But we're saying stuff and we don't have capacity. We don't have the finances. We don't have the resources. We don't have anything. And yet we're making vows. How stupid could a person be? I have spoken and I repent before the Holy One of Israel today. I have spoken impulsively. I gave hurry to a voice because I believed that Yah would hear me and he would then empower me to do what he wanted me to do, as if I can do it any other way. I'm using him to say that I want to keep a vow. No. Yah's not my servant. He's not. Why? Because Yahweh is in heaven and you are on earth. So let your words be few. You don't need to talk in front of him a whole. You don't need to give your voice to words before Yah about just talking. We're unclean. Elohim is in heaven and you are on the earth. So let's let this be few. And when you do speak to him, let it be meaningful. For nightmares come from worrying too much. A fool, when he speaks, chatters too much. If you make a vow to Elohim, you better hear what he's about to tell us. Don't delay in discharging it. Don't speak about a vow that you can't discharge immediately. For Yahweh, Elohim, takes no pleasure in fools. So discharge your vow. You better pay it. Better not make a vow than to make a vow and not discharge it. So
have you ever heard that expression when they say, Yah looks out for children and fools? You ever heard that? Anybody ever said that to you before? Yeah, this lady used to tell me all the time. He looks out for children and fools. That's what he cares about. She used to tell me that.
Well, that's kind of bizarre. But listen, if it's telling us it's better not to make a vow than to make one and not discharge it. So what I'm telling you is Dawid, myself, the one speaking to you, has made a vow to Yah, but I don't have a way to discharge it. So guess what Yah says? That's foolish. Because you thinking I'm a man. You think I'm going to let you say something and walk away. It doesn't work like that with the creator of the heavens and the earth. So as a result of that, don't let your words make you guilty. Your words. Your words. Talking about Zazarat, something coming out your mouth. You remember, this all has to do with what we say, right? Don't tell out of your mouth the temple official that you made a vow by mistake. Oh, it was an accident. It was an accident. I didn't mean to say that. Why is he talking about the temple official? Because that's the one, the person is and who's the temple official? Who's the official at the temple?
Kohanim.
The Kohanim. So if you say something, you have to make sure that you were able to give it at that moment. You can't say I vow and then all of a sudden, no, I made a mistake. I really didn't have it. The response to that is, why give Elohim a reason to be angry at you, at what you say, and destroy what you have accomplished? You get that?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we need to know. Yah will be angry at us if we say something and not do it. I've been asking Yah for the last week, did I make a vow to you? And have I not paid it? And today he revealed it to me. That yeah, you made a vow and you didn't pay it. You mistakenly thought that I was a man. Now a lot of us would say, oh no, he ain't gonna do nothing. You're under grace, ain't nothing gonna happen. No. You guys. What? For this is what happens when there are too many what? Dreams. You know, people like to have dreams and say God spoke to them. Aimless activities and words. This is what happens when you talk too much. You start saying stuff that's just stupid. Okay, when you just want to be so busy, right? Yah says instead, look, just fear Elohim. Instead of making vows that you can't keep, just fear Elohim. He gives us the solution, right? Any contributions before we move on into our study, our Hebrew lesson?
I have a question
Yes.
regards to what you just spoke.
Yeah.
So I'm confused in that sense where I made a vow to Robert Holman when they were sending money to Kenya. And I made a vow to send $100 a month because there's two portions. There's a school and then also an orphanage that they're sending. So I made a vow to send $100 a month, which I did it for, almost 2 years, maybe no more than 2 years. And then I overheard them saying that they're not sending any more money to the school, right?
Right. I remember
so then
that.
when I heard that, I stopped giving that additional 100. So is that a sin since I made a vow? But then when that specifically, that 100 was to go to the Kenya orphanage. Since they're not sending any money, I decided to not to give. Is that so then?
No, that's your answer. Your question is no. You didn't break your vow. You didn't break your vow. You did. You did what you said you were going to do until they decided that that wasn't going to be it anymore. You vowed in your heart to send it to there. Now they want to take it and divert it somewhere else. And that's not how it works. Okay. So you vowed it. The vow ended when the moment that they changed it. That vow ended the moment that they said it's not going there any longer. And by the way, if you wanted to give to a Kenyan orphanage, then you should give that to yourself, not through another person, if you have means to do so.
I wanted to do that. So I wanted the contact information, but he didn't. He told me to do it directly through them and then they would do it. So that's why I wasn't able to. If I knew the contact, I would have continued to do so.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. Yeah. So then, that's. Yeah.
So then I'm okay.
You're okay. You're perfectly fine. By the way, if you made your vow to Yah, you kept your vow through that you said, right? Because you came from your heart. But I want to be clear. This is not magic and this is not spiritual. Did you make the vow to a man or did you make it to Yah?
To man. I mean, to him.
Yeah, you made it to a man, right?
Yes.
Okay, then you're good. Okay. You're over it. Yah's vows, what we're talking about is what you say to Yah.
Oh, okay.
If you speak to Yah, these men are not God. They're not Elohim. So for us to listen, I don't even listen to men anymore because we can't be trusted.
Okay? Sure. So this Torah portion is mainly like it says in the verse that it's whatever secretly or loudly vowed to, we need to fulfill.
Yes. Okay. If you did it in your heart, and if you spoke it, anything you spoke to Yah, you have to be careful to make sure that you do it. If you don't do it, you're going to have a problem. Yah says, I'll destroy you, because he's saying if you got to be careful. What Shalom was telling us is be careful what you say to Yah. Don't be so quick to utter anything before him. And I told you that I made the mistake, which is true. I made a mistake. I said it in my zeal, in my happiness, in my love. And I was like, oh yeah, I want to do this and I want to do that. And if you do this, then I'll do this when that happens. And I was just thinking I'm doing the right thing and saying the right stuff. And Yah's like, and then I haven't been able to pay it. And then I'm asking, well, why is my life being destroyed? Right? Why am I not feeling, I don't feel well about things. Why? And I asked Yah last week, like, did I ever make a vow to you that I didn't pay? And I'm thinking, I'm thinking, well, I did make a vow, but I didn't have the resources to do it. So, but I was hoping that you would give me the resources so I could do it. No, that's evil. That's evil. If you don't have what Yah is saying is, if you vow something to Yah, it better be in your possession. Yah doesn't work on credit. Do you understand that? If the people of Israel were to vow something to Yah, they had to bring it to the temple official that day. It didn't happen. Well, I'll get to you next week. You opened your mouth, fulfill your vow. This is what Yah's telling us. Don't be people who are just opening your mouth and talking. You need to be the kind of people, if you said you're going to do something, do it. What vow did Israel make to Yah? They said, everything you said we will do. And they never did it. That's an evil person. To say something and not really mean you're going to do it. He's trying to get us to understand your words are very powerful. Yah takes what you say 100%. You can't say I made a mistake. I didn't know what I was saying. I got excited. I don't care about you being excited. You said you was going to pay it. Pay it. You go pay what you owe. You said you go do it. Do it. You're going to keep what you said. I'm going to hold you to what you said. That's why we need to be careful. Are you guys following what I'm saying? I know it's a tough teaching, but it's the truth.
Yes. But isn't it's pretty serious, and so we have to really careful, or at least for me, to make a commitment to but also if we make a vow or commitment to another human or a person, we should follow that commitment to them.
Follow that commitment as well. Absolutely.
So in our country, the verbal is a contract, is what I was told.
Yes, it is. It's based on what was said. Like when Yah, that's heavy what you just mentioned. When Yah spoke to Abraham, he spoke to him and he made a verbal contract with him. He promised him something. Yah is always telling us that I'm your Elohim and I keep my promises. Because I'm that Elohim and you're in a relationship with me, you're going to have to keep your promises. You follow? You got to keep your promise to me. If you said you're going to do something, you got to do it. Can you guys see my screen? Rule 6 verbs.
Yes.
Okay. So I'll end on the study of the Torah by saying, if you made a promise to Yah, he's saying that you're going to have to fulfill it. I want you to be my people have to do. If I'm the Elohim that you serve, this of righteousness and justice and truth and mercy and compassion, that's what you have to be. If you said you're going to do something, then you have to keep your word. Because only two people can be in a contract together, two individuals predicated upon trust and a fiduciary of faithfulness to it. You got to be faithful to what you said. That's all this is about. This is about being faithful to what you said. That's what the Torah is about, to teach us how to be faithful to what we say and what he says. You understand? We said we would do it, then we need to do it. That's just what it is. And that's the problem is people don't want to do it. They don't want to keep their word to him and other people. If you keep your word to Yah, then more than likely you'll keep your word in your marriage. If you keep your word to Yah, then more than likely as you will keep your word to your boss or your business or your customers. If you keep your word to Yah, you'll keep your promises that you made to your children. You keep your word to Yah, you'll be faithful in your relationships with socially around people and your fellow human being. But if you don't keep your word, you won't be considered to be faithful. And you can't be trusted, and you'll be a false witness. You have, because we're the ones who said that we saw this. Our ancestors saw it, and now they're playing dumb like they didn't see it. Yah says you haven't been faithful. You've abandoned the Torah. You've abandoned what you said. You've abandoned the instructions that you agreed to. And that's not going to happen. I'm not going to let it go. So that brings us to verbs. And that's appropriate because verbs are what? Verbs have to do with action. You're going to do something, okay? Someone or something is doing something, okay? Okay. So what? In the sentence, the boy, he learned, okay? Learned is the verb. It's the action because it describes the action that the boy was doing. The girl prayed. That's the action. That's the verb. She prayed. Okay. So in the next 2 pages, we're going to discuss briefly, right? Verbs briefly, and they will be dealt with in more detail in lessons 5 and 6, which we're going to go to later on. So we got a he, a she, and a they. Okay. Right. And so we're going to look at it briefly. In Hebrew, 3 letters are what they call a Hebrew root. 2, 3. Okay. When you see it in its 3 letters like this, okay, it's a root. R-O-O-T. Okay. The 3-letter root can be a verb or it can be a noun. Goes either way. Okay. So when you see this 3-letter root, it means he. There's nothing added to the front of it. There's no letters here. There's no letters on the end, and there's no letters in the middle. So all 3-letter roots on a verb means he said. He. Okay. Amar is the word for said. The he, you don't see it, but it's implied because it's in its perfect. It's perfect. P-E-R-F-E-C-T. It's perfect. That's why it's in his past tense. He said, not he's going to say, not he's saying, he said, past tense. Okay. The next word is a vocabulary word, and I'll send you guys a copy of this. Okay. I'm going to send a copy of this to you. Everything that you've learned. I know we've not been consistent, but I'm going to send you a copy of it so you can look at it and review it. If you have any questions, you'll be able to call me, okay? Or email me. The next word is called halak. This is a hey, this is a lamed, this is a ah, and this is a ah. Well, what's the difference between the 2 ahs? Well, this one looks like a little T. That's called a long vowel, long sound. Ah, ah, a little bit longer. This one here is a short ah, short. So it's ah, ah. So one is ah, another one's ah. Both the same sound. One's long, one's short. Okay. Last letter right here is a K sound. This letter right here, the lamed, is a L sound. The H, the hey is a H sound. So it's ha, lock, halak. That means he went. There's nothing on the front of it. There's nothing in the middle of it. There's nothing on the end of it. So nothing's there. 3 letters. It's perfect. He went. Not he's going. He went. Next one. La, kak. Okay. So we got this letter right here is called a ket, and that's the CH sound. Ket. This letter here is a Q in English. It gives you a K sound kind of. And this is an L sound. Then you got ah, so that's la. And then we got kach, la kach, la kach. And la kach means he took. And the reason why it's he took is because it's a 3-letter root and it's in its past tense. The action has been done. It's completed. Any questions so far? So how would you say she said, she went, she took, using all these 3 roots here, all these roots here? How would you say this and to feminize it? Well, it's very simple. And I'm going to give you the rules. Rule number 4 says all you got to do is add a vowel and a letter. And that vowel and that letter is this one right here. That's all you got to do. You got to add this to those root words. Okay, so we're going to take a look at that and show you what it looks like. And don't make it as, and if you don't understand it, don't worry about it. You're going to understand it. Just got to keep messing around with it. You'll get it. It's not going to be, you know, oh, I got it. Not right now. Sometimes you might get it, you may not get it. Don't worry about it. You're just going to immerse yourself into it. That's all. So we're going to learn how to add by adding that onto the end of the verb. It makes it feminine. That's what we're doing. So we're going from he said, in this example right here, Amar, he said, and I want to say she said. So if I'm going to say she, I'm just going to add this to it, and it's called Amara, Amara. Okay, so let me break it down a little bit more. You see the aleph is still the same. The mem is still the same. The resh is still the same. All they did was they just changed because they're adding the ah here. That ah sound and that H, okay, to make it feminine. They're changing, they have to change this vowel right here. That's all, to let you know. Okay. So when you see a word, when it's the first thing you want to look for is a 3-letter root. Then you say, oh, that's he. And then you see the H on the end, that's feminine. You know, it's, oh, Amara. Okay. Amara. Now, ah. Okay, the aleph is silent. You just make the sound of the vowel. Ah. Okay. It makes an M sound. That letter is a mem, but it's an M in English. It's a not ma. Just put your lips together. Mom. Okay. Underneath here, it's a sound. Okay. I'm just transliterating into, you know, what it would look like, right? Is So when you look at it, an M sound with a is called what?
Meh.
M. A quick It's a quick It's not like it's real quick. So what? This is a R sound. And then you got the AH, so that's Ra. So it's I'm just writing it in English so you can get the sounds. Ra, Amara. Okay. Amara, Amara. When you say a man says it, it'll be Amar. He said. When a woman says it, it's Amara. So we're giving her respect and giving her same root, but she's the in everything.
I'm a little confused with the, I mean, I get the hey at the end, but why put the 2 dots S sound under mem? Is that consistent or just, I'm not.
Oh,
I don't
well,
know when I will know.
yeah. Well, here's what I want you to know. Okay. That is this information down here, right?
Uh-huh.
Is going to give us these things. They mean something. Okay. Those are what they call nakuds. Okay. NIQQUD. Okay. Nakudim. Okay. M over here is plural. So they're called a nakud. Okay. Each one of these little things here means something. It not only means in its pronunciation for a vowel, okay, but it actually tells us how something is being said. Okay. It's telling us there's 7 ways that something can be said. Okay. Which is going to be in our understanding verbal conjugations. There's 7 stems. And I don't want to go over those right now because it will confuse you. I think the most important thing that we're on right now is learning how you're going to get to this. Don't worry. You're just curious because you're a thinker. You're a smart person. Smart people look at things and ask questions. Okay. So being as smart as you are and inquisitive as you are, you want to know what that means. Right. So that's good. But in the process, you have to first learn how to say it first and then worry about this. So it's stages. So the first stage is learn how to read it, right? To recognize like, what are these sounds? And then after you learn the sounds, okay, and if it's long and short and all that, then we're going to get into what this really means from a conjugation form. Like, how is it being expressed? What is it being expressed in a simple action? Is it being expressed in a forceful action? Is it being expressed in a causative action? Is it being expressed in a reflexive action? And so those are the different stems. And is it passive or is it active? So I'm going to be able to share that with you when we get to that point in our lessons. And that's like down the road.
Mm.
But just to let you know, they changed it just to give you a simple answer and not you all hanging. The answer is they give you the oh man, I lost my little thing here. Where's my thing? Oh, here it is. Yeah, the simple answer is that when you change when you change the form, you know, when you go from a masculine to a feminine, they have to change the verbs, the nakuds down here, the vowels. The vowels have to change. So basically, what it is just a changing of the vowels. Just a simple answer. So when you added something to it, it changes. It changes this letter. It changes its vowel to this. And the reason being is because you added this. You added this right here. You added it. And so that right there is a grammatical lesson that is extensive. Okay. Because the reason why they put these marks here, Samya, before they created these marks, before these marks were here, back several thousand years ago, they didn't have those marks. There were no marks in the Hebrew language. None of this existed. So what they did is they didn't want to lose the language, right? And so what they did is they put these nakuds, these marks under here to teach the people, especially the people, because things were changing. You know, when you go to different countries and people invade you and all this kind of stuff, they didn't want to lose its sounds. So they put these marks underneath them so you can be able to conjugate them to be able to know how to at least say it. Because before, no one, you know, they know the vowels are A, E, I, and O, U, but how to say these different words, they put these marks here to kind of secure the language. So if someone later on, 100 years from today or back then, because these marks have been around for a couple of thousand years, at least 2,000 years, where you could put these marks here in order to secure the language, so someone in the future can be able to know how to pronunciate it. Once you learn how to pronunciate it, you won't need the markings. For example, when I look at this word right here, I know that it's Amar. Why? How did I know it's Amar? Because of these marks. Once I learn how to say the word, I don't need the marks anymore. Just like with Moshe in his name, right? You know, you got Moshe, right? You got the Mo, and then you got the dot, and then the shin, and then the sh, and then they got another vowel. You don't need those vowels anymore. Once you learn how to say Moshe, do I need vowel points for that? No. Once I learn how to say shalom, do I need to say shalom? No, I know how to say it. So they're only there to teach you. These are training wheels to teach you how to say the word, okay? And to let you know when you hear Amar, it's a simple action, okay? If I change these vowels, you know, you got me going somewhere else. If I change these vowels from the A to a Irmar or Edmar like this, I just changed it from being a simple action to a forceful action. Instead of saying he said, it would be he shouted. Okay? Just by changing the vowels, just by expressing it differently. Okay? So we'll get more into that and you'll see it. And we'll get there, don't worry. So that's how you change a verb. Okay? The word is halak. Okay? And what are these little dots right here? I know you're going to ask, well, what are those dots? You know, well, these dots mean something.
It means ending or end
Yeah.
of.
Well, it doesn't mean an ending. It's letting you know that it's letting you know that, for example, if you got halakha, okay, so sometimes you'll see with those two dots, or you might see with this underneath it, right? Right. So you got to ask yourself, okay, well, what is it talking about, right? So here's the tricky part about the language. Even though this may say he, because it's in its perfect form, even though it might say he, because there's nothing there, it's the three right here, like this, they're expressing it as being perfect he, right? The verb itself may be feminine. You see, the action of it may be feminine, but it's the person who's doing it. It gets a little confusing sometimes, okay? So what we're talking about is when we bring up verbs, right, and nouns, verbs and nouns can either be masculine or feminine. The verbs can be feminine, okay? And the nouns can be feminine. Like, for example, the word Torah is what? You think it's masculine or feminine?
Masculine?
Once you look at it.
Oh. No. I think it's odd, so maybe it's feminine.
It is feminine. It is. Do you remember you said earlier that I said, what's Yah's household? You said Yah's the head of the house, and then there's a mother. Tells the what? She tells the children what to do, right? So Yahweh's Torah is like a mother to us. She tells us what to do. She's the one who's guiding the house. She's the one giving the children instructions about what the father said. So the father communicates to the mother what his wishes are. She then teaches the children. Okay?
Yep.
You understand?
If it's a good mom.
Here the Torah is a good mom, right?
Sure.
A good mother will say, well, what the father said, and make sure that what was said will be done. Okay.
And make the father look good.
And make the father look good because then everyone's happy because everything is going well.
Yes.
As Yah commanded, he said, if you do these instructions, if you listen, then things will go well with you. Isn't that what he said? If you listen to your mother, things will go well with the father. If you don't listen to the mother, the father's going to what? He's going to get involved. He's going to discipline. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So he went and she went to say that in the same letters, still got the hey, you still got the lamed, and you see there's a difference here. Well, what's the difference? It ain't a difference in sound. It's just a different in form. This one is called a final. It's called a k. It's a cough. Okay. C-A-P-H. It's cough. That's the palm of the hand. Okay. And so it looks like this when it's on the final, when it's the last letter in the word. When it's not the last letter, it takes on this shape. It's the same sound. Okay. So one you would say halak. Okay. And then this one is ha la ka. Halaka. Halaka. Okay. So one is halak, one is halaka. So what do we do to change it to make it feminine?
The vowels.
Yes, you just put this vowel right here and this hey right here. Add it on. And because we added it on, it changed this form from this to go to its other form, which is this one. Same letter, just a different form, just a different way it looks. Okay, so she went halaka. Okay, next. Same thing. Lakak. Okay, lakak. How would you say this one down here? Someone, how do you say this one?
La. Oh, yeah. La. Laka. Lakaka. No.
Yes, lakaka. Lakaka. Yes. This one is lakak. This is lakaka. You hear the ah on the end? Lakaka. Lakaka. You guys, well, how am I going to remember this? How, Dawood, you just shown it to me today. How am I going to remember all this stuff that you're teaching me? I'm going to show you. Okay. Because you're going to remember it because I'm going to send you every one of these pages.
Dot.
You see this? This is vocabulary words. I'm going to send it to you. This is going to be your homework. I'm going to send it all to you. Okay. I'm going to send it all to you. I'm going to send you everything that I got. I'm going to send you that. I'm going to send you this. I'm going to send you this. I'm going to send you this. So you're going to get immersed now into it. Okay. Because I want to do this now. I mean, I've always wanted to do it, but now I know it's really important. Okay. So now the difference is now that you want to use these same vocabulary words, Amar, Halak, and Lakak, and we went from Amara to the Halakah to Lakakak, right? We went from there. Now we want to say, how do you say they said, or they went, or they took? So in order to change something from a feminine to a plural of they, all you got to do is add one letter. And what one letter is that? Is this one. Okay, so you got Amar, right? And then look, Amaru. Yep. They said, that's the they. So it's just like putting pieces of a puzzle together. So a halak is for he went, and if you want to say they went, how would you say they went? How would you say it?
Ama. Wait. Amak.
Mark.
Okay, so here you go. If you want to say they went, okay, so he went is halak. Halak. Okay. Ha lock. Okay. If you want to say they went, it would be ha what?
Halek.
Hala what?
Halaki.
Halaku.
Oh, halaku.
Yeah, because this is a oo sound.
That's right.
Okay, that's the oo.
Oh.
Okay, the oo, the u sound, which is two oo's, right? Two oo's. Ooh. Okay, so when you see a wa that has a dot on the side of it, like here, it's the oo sound. Okay, two O's or the letter U. Okay, so it's oo. So ha la ku, halaku. Halaku. Okay. Halaku. All right. How would you say they took? Lakak is how they took. He took. How do you say they took?
Laku.
Ku.
Close. La, ka,
Ka.
ku.
Wakuku.
Yeah, la kuku. Yeah, there you go. Nah, you got that. Don't that sound African? La cuckoo.
Cuckoo.
La cuckoo. Like you're a cuckoo over Cocoa Puffs? La cuckoo. La cuckoo. Okay, so let's say it. La cuckoo.
La
They took
cuckoo.
la cuckoo. Okay, so that's la cuckoo. Now get your African tongue. La cuckoo. Open your mouth. La cuckoo. Now how do you say they went?
Maku. Hamaku. Hamaku.
Haluku.
Halaku. Halaku. Halaku.
Halaku.
Halaku. Halaku. Halaku. Halaku. Halaku. Halaku. Okay. How do you say they said?
Amaku.
Amaru. Amaru. That's an R sound.
Okay. Amaru.
Amaruk. Amaruku.
Amaru. Amaru. Amaru.
Amaru.
Amaru. Okay. Got that?
Mhm.
All right. So that's how you say they is Amaru. You put the U on the end. Okay. You'll get it. So to summarize, he said is Amar. She said is Amora. 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 How do you say said? Amaru. Amaru.
Amaru.
So Amodra. Amodru. Ama. Amodra. Amodru.
Lak. Laka.
Amara. Amara.
Hamaru.
Amaru.
Harak. Haraka. Halaku.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Do you still see the screen?
Yes.
All right. This is what I do. You put some music to whatever you learn, right? Amar, Amadra, Amadru, Halak, Halaka, Halaku, Lakak, Lakaka, Lakuku. Okay. The Amamara, Amadra, the Amadru, the Halak, the Halaka, the Halaku. The halaku, the halaka, the halak, the amar, the amadra, the amadru, the halaku. Halaku, halaku, the halaku, the halaka, the halak, the lakak, the lakaka, the lakalaku. The lakuku, the lakuku, right? The amar, the amadru, the amar, the amadra, the halak, the halaka, the halak, the halaka. Okay, so you gotta find your music. Find your vibe, and if you don't take your time with it, so if you know a word like this is kind of tough, like Amaru, you hold on till you see the vowel, right? So Amaru, Amaru, Amar, Amaru, Amaru. So if you sing something, it'll stick with you longer. If you don't have a beat behind it, you won't remember it, because the way they were designed is music makes things stick with us, okay? So that's how you do it, okay? In the Torah, the verb is sometimes written before the noun and sometimes after it, okay? Let's say it together. In the Torah, the verb is sometimes written before the noun and sometimes after it. So what does that mean? In English, the verb generally comes after the noun, but in Hebrew, the verb comes before the noun, probably like 90% of the time, okay? So when we look at these examples, right, it says Amar, what? Somebody read that first sentence.
Amar. Rua.
You're talking to the guy right now. What's my name?
Oh, David.
Dawid.
David.
Yeah, Dawid. This is a W.
Tawa.
Dawid. And that's an I. And then that's a D on the end.
That's a
Dawid.
Dalit.
Dawid. Yeah.
David.
So Amar Dawid. Okay. So the verb, let me turn my music off. The verb comes before a noun. You can see the verb comes before the noun. The noun is Dawid. The verb is Amar. See? Usually it'd be David
Amar.
said. David, he said. So what is this saying? This is saying the verb comes before the noun. The action. So when I say Amar, and then what does Amar mean?
Said.
He said. Remember, it's perfect.
Okay. Oh, he said David.
He said Dawid. Okay. The next, so this is what you're going to get. You're going to get your vocabulary words, which is, halak, and it's going to tell you what it's going to do. So let's read this right quick. What does the word halak mean? Or halakha?
Halakha, what she went?
Yes, she went. Who went? What's her name?
Sarah.
Sarah. Sarah went. And did you notice that they're putting since it's talking about Sarah, it's talking about they had to make this verb right here feminine.
Oh, yes.
Because you're talking about a feminine noun. So your verb has to match your noun in this language. So if you're talking about a female with the right here, Sarah, your name, what she did was she went has to be feminized, because the regular word would be halak, which means he went, right? So if you got the hey in there, and then you got that in the final cough, it'd be halak, but it's not, it's halakha. Halakha Sarah. Halakha Sarah. Sarah went. Okay, she went. Okay, what's the next one?
La
African word. La, yeah. Yeah, la cuckoo what?
Ra. Okay.
La cuckoo what?
La cuckoo.
The guy who's talking right now. La cuckoo what?
Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah. You got it. That's absolutely great. So you got, and he took, and they took. So lakak means to take, right? And then u means they. And who's the they? Dawid.
David.
And this is
and Sarah.
Sarah. So Dawid and Sarah, they took. So you notice you're reading this way, and then you're translating this way. Okay.
The rest and the Dalit, how do you distinguish between the two?
Oh, the Dalit and the resh?
Yes.
I'll show you. Okay, so the way that this is written is kind of difficult because they look alike, right?
Yeah.
If you notice, you see this dip right here, coming right here?
Yeah.
The rest doesn't have that. The rest is just curved. This one has an indentation. It goes in and then comes.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, you got to look.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to look for it. And then
that's
also,
Dalit. Okay.
The Dalit has a little hangover back here when the rest is just curved around this way.
Okay.
Okay, so that's curved. Another one has a little hangover.
Okay.
Just like the hay right here looks like what? It looks like a ket.
Okay, yeah.
Well, the hay has a space right here. And there's no space in this ket. It's connected.
Okay.
Okay. Like the shin has either going to be a dot on the right hand side or the left hand, When it's on the left here, it's a S sound. When the shin is over on the dot is on that side, it's a SH sound.
Okay.
Versus S. Okay. All right. This dot under here is an I sound, as in it. Okay. But you don't say the t part, it's just the I. So da with da with. Because the wa, this letter right here has a W. When it's in a word, when it's in front of a word like this, it means and. But it still has the same sound, wa. Okay. So that's wa and that's with. This is with and this is wa. Okay. So it still has a W sound. Okay. So when you translate these into English, it would be what? It would say, let's say it, Amar Dawid.
Amar Dawid.
And if it's in English, they would say, he said David. But we don't talk like that. We don't say, he said David. But that's how concrete this language is. That's how literal it is. Okay. It says halakha Sarah. Halakha Sarah. She went Sarah. But we don't talk like that. La kuku Dawid was Sarah. We don't talk they took Dawid and Sarah. We don't talk like that. So when you look at it, it says, however, we don't speak like this in English. You'll always find them translated into David said. You know, so the first thing you would do, so you can see you're reading it this way, but then when you translate it this way. You see, it'll be, you would say David first, David said. David, number one, and then said. But we know in Hebrew, it was, he said David. It's not David said. You see? So your brain is working both ways. Your brain is going this way, and then you have to translate it this way, if you choose to translate it. Okay. Why are you learning Hebrew? I'll tell you why you're learning it. So when you read the Hebrew text, you're going to understand what's being said, and then you're going to understand what these words actually mean, and then you're also going to know the cultural significance. Okay, because David's name, even with it in his name, is a meaning. There's meaning within his name. His name, your name is your character. Okay, so they got this V right here. That's not a V. They're translating as a V. In Hebrew, it's a W. Okay, you see? So they're making it, you know, since it's Dawid, you know, it's a masculine noun, then you say, oh, David said. But in Hebrew, it'd be, he said David. That's how literal Yah is. So it says, look at some examples of the verb coming after, because sometimes it could. Depends on how it's written in the text. It could be Dawid Amar. It could be Sarah Halakha. She went. Sarah, she went. Dawid and Wasera, the La Kaku, right? So we don't speak like that in English. Okay, we don't say that. We just say David said, Sarah went, or David took. Okay. I want to go over this summary right quick before we end our lesson, because I'm going to send this lesson to you guys. But I want you to remind me. So send me a little email. There's no word or letter. This is the end of lesson number 1, by the way. We're going in lesson number 2 next time. There's no word or letter for A in Hebrew. There's no letter and no word for A in Hebrew. It's all implied. So yeah, so you never, it's implied, meaning, you know, you'll put it there. It won't be that there's actually, you know, you say, oh, well, we can use the aleph as a letter A. No, aleph is not the letter of A. Okay.
Silent.
Silent, exactly. But it has definition, it has meaning, right? The letter hey at the beginning of a noun, very clear, at the beginning of a noun, because there's nouns and verbs. There's actions and things, and people, places, and things, and there's actions, okay? The hey at the beginning means the, okay? It's a definite article, okay? It's called a definite article, meaning when I talk about something that's definite, if I said, hey, go get me that book, and there was 5 books on the table, you would be like, what book? I'd have to put a definite article on it. I'd have to let you know which one I'm talking about by either pointing to it or describing it. And so what the letter hey does, it describes what is being talked about, like the land, not a land, the land, okay? When you put a wa in front of the beginning of a noun, not in the middle, at the beginning of a noun, it means and. As we had in our example, Dawid wa Sarah. That wa means and, okay? And there's over 50,000 of them in the Torah, okay, in the scriptures. Then we found out how to make a noun feminine, right? And so the way you do that is you just add that little piece of the puzzle to the root. A root consists of 3 letters. Okay, a root is 3 letters. Okay, and that root, when you add that a onto it, it becomes feminine. Like Amar went to Amara, you went to Lakak, went to Lakaka, you went to what's the other one? Halak. It went from halak, from male to feminine, halakah. So that is what makes it feminine. So you can change, a noun to feminine, right? And we also learned, not today, but we learned it before, that when you add the yod and the mem on the end of a word, it makes it plural, masculine. Okay, so it goes from being singular to plural. And there's examples that you'll be able to see when I send this handout to you. Okay, this information. Also, too, when you want to make a noun plural or a verb plural, you can add the oath to it. Okay, so this is how you pluralize something. You put this for a male, masculine will be a yod and a mem. When you do a feminine plural, it'll go to a wa and a tav. Okay, but it had that little dot over it like that. It'd be oath. Okay, so if the noun ends in a and the falls off, when would it fall off? It falls off when you add this oath to it, and you'll see it. Okay, so if you want to change something from singular to plural, and it was feminine, you have to get rid of this and then you put the oath on the end. You replace it with this right here, and you'll see it in your examples. Okay. We also learned today that the verbs they come in different ways. Okay, they could be masculine, they could be feminine. Okay, and they can also be plural. For he said, it could be Amar. She said is Amara, and they said is Amaru. Okay, and these today we are dealt with is when he says he is talking about third person, masculine singular. Okay, when we're talking about a female, right? She said, that's a third person, masculine singular. Okay, if we're talking about they said, it could be third person, common, plural. Okay, common. Okay, so if you both, like we said, Sarah and David, they didn't put any masculinity on it, and they didn't put any femininity on it, because you're talking about third person plural. Okay, and so the example would be, sometimes the verb comes before the noun. So here is Amar, he said, past tense, Yaakov, or Yaakov Amar. Yaakov said, he said. Translated as Yaakov said. Okay. And so you'll be able to find those examples in there. All right. So those are the rules. All right. Last but least, when I send this to you, you have some homework to do, and we're going to check it. Based on the information I'm going to give you, you should be able to do this. You could do this all week long. Okay. So this is your homework. I don't want you doing it in one day. I want you to take one day and learn page number 1 and 2. Next day, I need you to learn, so you got 6 days. You got 6 days to do this lesson. All right. And to solidify it in your learning, in your mind. Okay. And I have the answers, but I'm not going to give them to you. I want you to figure it out. All right. And you're going to be surprised that you really are going to learn Hebrew. You have to do this work, and don't be afraid, and don't be intimidated by it. Okay. So the first one is translate the following sentences into English. And you're looking at us going, how am I going to do that? I've never seen this before. You're going to, by the time you finish your lesson, you will be able to do this. So this is like a motivation for you to be like, get excited. Like, don't be afraid of it. Okay. Aisha Mar El Aisha. You're going to find out all this. Okay. Then the second part is you're going to translate the following into English. Okay. And then you're going to find out which one of these has a mistake in it. Okay. So there's mistakes in 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 and 14. And you're going to find those mistakes. And then you're going to be able to write it on a piece of paper. And then next week, we're going to be going over whether, you know, we're going 1 through 14. So you have a whole week. You have a whole week to do it. All right. I know you guys are don't be mad because I gave you homework, but I got you. I got to do homework for you. All right.
Okay.
You guys are you want to learn, and Yah wants to teach you. So praise the Holy One of Israel. All right. So I'm gonna send it to you. All right. Any contributions, additions, subtractions, questions?
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
The weird.
Yes.
Now I know with the Shema, you know how my picture, I got the picture of the Shema on there.
Yeah.
And I kind of noticed, like when you say it, like you kind of pronounce it different. I mean, is that how you feel comfortable with saying it?
Well, what part of it did I say was different?
I mean, it's not. It's the Havata.
Oh, Ahavata?
No.
You just said yours says Wahavta, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Depends because yes, it depends Wahavata or Wahavta, right? Good ear, Kent.
Huh?
I said good ear.
Oh, yeah, because I'll be because when you say, because I'll be hearing the
Yeah, Wahavata.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the first letter Wahavata or Wahavta?
Wahavata.
It's supposed to be a hafta, right?
Havta. And the Uvakol.
Oh, Uvakol. What did I say? Uvakol?
I don't know. It's just like when you say it, like I understand what you're saying. You just, I guess like it sound like a different like dialect. Like
Oh, it's probably just my pronunciation of it. It's just probably, you know, all of us have different tongues, right? So, you know, yeah, it's just a different tongue, right? Like, you know, they say there's different dialects, right? And so when I speak it, I train myself to speak it a certain way. So yeah, it just comes out that way, you know. But you understand what I'm saying. I say Shema Yisrael, you know, you already know that, right? Some people don't say Yisrael, they say Shema Israel or Yasharal or whatever. I know what it means, you know. So I don't get caught up on dialect. I just want to know what the root means and what the verb means and how's it conjugated, right? So thank you for that. Yeah, no problem. No, it's just a dialect. There's something in the I think it's one of the books, I'll get it to you, where it talks about the children of Israel from two different parts of the land. One was saying Shibaloth, another one said Sibaloth. One was pronouncing the shin one way, and another one's pronouncing the shin in another way. And the way they were to determine, you know, how to, you know, who was who is by the way that had that dialect and how they were able to pronunciate it. So yeah, pronunciations go from place to place.
That's kind of like saying people saying Yahweh or Yahweh or Yahuwah.
Yeah.